the acknowledged expert on all things achievement program. Jack, the stage is yours.
What I want to talk about this afternoon is something that's been near and dear to my heart ever since I started the trek as an MMR. One of the things that, if you will, really torqued me badly was having to fill out a bunch of paper with little or no explanation as to what the content was supposed to be, which was then read by a bunch of people I didn't know from Adam's aunt, only to find out that it was insufficient, inappropriate, or didn't have anything at all to do with what I was trying to do. And so I, along with the encouragement from some other MMRs, we figured out how to do this with a hell of a lot less paper and a lot more fun. Here's what we're going to cover while we're doing this. There are times when you need paper. There are times, most of the times you don't. The question is, how do I flow through this, and what has to happen to make this work? And I got to tell you, this has got to be a team effort, or it will not work. So I've already heard from one person said, well, I can't achieve all the MMR stuff, so I probably won't do any of them. I would offer to you that's probably not necessarily in your best interest, because within the AP program, you have an opportunity to meet various challenges and to try different things. So even if you never become an MMR, there is still something to be said for earning one or two or more certificates. So these are the things we're going to look at. Okay, here's the first one. Paperwork. I've got drawers full of forms, and I've got file cabinets full of garbage. And it's just that, they're all garbage. As soon as I make a submission to national and/or the certificate comes back, all of that stuff is nothing but a dead tree waiting to go to a landfill. So we got to do a little bit better than that. And I certainly don't need the individual modeler to spend more time writing up reams and reams of paper about how something was done as opposed to doing it. So our approach has been simple. It's one I learned in the Navy, having drafted letters 4, 5, and 6 times. The paperwork doesn't get done until the captain signs it. So one of the things I learned, of course, was never throw away your first draft, because that's when he's probably going to sign anyway. But what we want to do is we want to try and bring this down to as little paperwork as possible. Now, let's talk about some of the things that are in the program that are either misunderstood or considered outside the realm of the ability. Golden Spike is not an AP certificate. It is, in fact, if you will, it's a carrot to try and get guys started in the program by going through an evaluation process and learning how it's done. Any NMRA member in good standing can be the evaluator and complete the application for Golden Spike. So my words of wisdom here starts the team. Anytime you visit a modeler's layout or you look at a modular setup, keep the Golden Spike in mind. If in fact the modeler meets the criteria, and they are really simple, please don't make them hard. If in fact the modeler meets the criteria and does not already have a Golden Spike, write up the application. Let's get him a Golden Spike. He's got something to hang on the wall that says, look, somebody recognized and I know how to do some model railroading. It's a good way to get started, and it's a good thing to make our modelers feel better about what they are doing and their achievement. One of the things when we talk about recruiting and retention, on a recruiting side, when you're at a train show, You walk around with a bunch of golden spike applications in your pocket, and you see a modular grouping that would merit a golden spike. Your first question to the modeler is this yours? Yeah, that's mine. Yeah, huh? Yeah, it's pretty nice. Yeah, okay. Are you a member of the NMRA? Well, no, I got a deal for you. I'm willing to give you to fill out an application for a Golden Spike Award for you if you'll only be so kind as to join the NMRA, and that includes Rail Pass. You'd really rather get them for the full membership, but you do it with Rail Pass. You get a guy who's in the NMRA. He's already getting an award, and you've met a recruiting requirement. So use the Golden Spike as both a recruiting and a retention device. Okay, there are 11 certificates we all know about. In order to achieve the MMR status, you must earn a certificate in each of 4 categories, and the categories are as colored. You must earn 7 total. One of the things you have to learn early in the AP program is how to read simple English. The thing called a period stops a sentence and ends a thought. The thing that follows a period is a new sentence and a new thought. Don't run sentences and thoughts together. Okay, you do need paper for some of those certificates. For author, obviously, if you're gonna tell me you wrote a whole bunch of stuff, I got to be able to read it in order to determine, yes, that qualifies. So I need copies of everything, except if this stuff is available on a link, on a website, be it yours, NMRA, wherever, the link takes the place of having to make a copy of it. And I can also submit the link to National, so if Frank Kosh wants to look at it, he can. And Chief Dispatcher, all the diagrams, charts, and descriptions, as well as the record of time spent, is required. So that takes some paper. However, plagiarism is authorized. So instead of sitting down and drafting up your own timetable and your own flow charts, talk to me. I'll send you a copy of them. That works. And prototype, the same thing. I need to have the prototype picture, the pictures of the models built, and the write-up and information that goes with it. And the reason for these 3 in particular is I have to send that information to National in order to support the award of the certificate. Now, please note, there's nothing really hard here. I mean, for author, you got to write the stuff in order to qualify for author. So that work's done. For dispatcher, I'm going to send you a package. So all you got to do is log the hours. And for prototype, you had to have a picture to start with. It's pretty simple. It's not hard, guys. Here's some basic hints for you. The old record of validation form is not required, but you can use it if it's beneficial to you. If you do use it, please don't recopy it into the SOQ. Just mark that portion of the SOQ that would have the same information as C attached. I know how to follow that. I know how to read it. It's really helpful for author, since you don't do all your author stuff in one sitting. You just keep track of it as time goes on. The same thing is for dispatcher and volunteer, because that stuff is collected over time in different places and different times. So it may be more beneficial to use it there, but it's not required in any case. All right, let me go back to the beginning and just go through the screens real quick so that you see them. Okay, these are the learning objectives, which you did not see. And this may make some more sense to you. This is why we're here. This about the paperwork requires your signature, and that's it. And oh, by the way, for the number of guys who in fourth specifically, who earned their MMR or completed their MMR requirements using this team concept, they really understand. The only thing you do is sign the SOQ. There's Golden Spike, that's pretty straightforward. The AP categories, I'll go back through this again. There are 4 different areas, and you must have 1 certificate in each area, but a total of 7 certificates. This is in author, you need it because you are in fact doing the work. You need paper for author. You need paper for dispatcher. And once again, you don't have to do all of the charts. If you want a copy, ask me. And prototype is pretty straightforward. Okay, here's where we are. The record of validation we talked about, and not required, not required, not required. Okay, team visits, and that is the norm for PNR. That's the intended norm for PNR. Is a team of 2 to 3, 4, 5 evaluators come to your place at one time and just blitz the hell out of you and look at everything that you have available to look at, and they make the determination whether or not what you're offering is merit award worthy or certificate worthy. And it turns out in almost every case, we've been invited to look at one thing and wound up looking at a whole bunch of other stuff. But the team visit works for these 6 in particular, simply because they're things that require a direct evaluation. The key here is being able to be with the modeler, talk to the modeler, ask questions, allow the modeler to ask questions, get answers. If we can talk with each other, I don't want you spending a hell of a lot of time writing stuff down for me. I'd rather talk and evaluate than spend a lot of time reading. I will caution you, in contest, even though they require something that looks like, three notebooks full of material in order for your model to be considered, they don't have to read a damn thing. Contest judges are not required to read any of the material provided. On the other hand, AP evaluators are required to read all the stuff that you write up and give them. So if you want us to sit over in the corner, drinking coffee and eating your cookies, write up a bunch of stuff. We'll be more than happy to do that. There are a couple of the certificates, particularly civil and electrical, that talk about layout diagrams. Those layout diagrams are specifically intended for you to be able to do troubleshooting and to do work on your layout. They're not because I need drawers full of CAD drawings. So you need them. We don't have to have them. I don't want a copy of them. If you've done something really nice, I may ask for a copy of it so I can replicate it. But generally speaking, I don't want a copy of them. By the way, my layout diagram was done on a brown wrapping paper using felt tip pens, because I was able to put it right down on top of a piece of plywood and use a jigsaw and cut my underlayment out right from the track plan. Here's how it works. The evaluators come in, they start talking to you. What do you got to do? Well, you got to be able to answer the questions. You don't have to write the answers, but you got to be able to answer the questions. And I hope that before the evaluators came, actually, I hope before you started modeling, you took a look at the matrix and the point to ponder. And okay, you're saying, what matrix? It takes at least 2 evaluators to complete the assessment of an item. And the way we do it in fourth generally is one evaluator looks at the model or the item, fills out the evaluation sheet, puts his scores in pencil, and then simply drops the sheet alongside of the model and moves on to the next one. A second evaluator comes along, completes his evaluation or her evaluation of the model, marks down his scores, and then lays the sheet down. When we're at the endpoint evaluation, the two people who did the evaluation get together. If there are any variances in the scores, they work those variances out and come to consensus agreement on the scores, and we're done. They do, after they have reached 88 points, they don't haggle over whether it's 93 or 96 because it doesn't make any difference. In AP, 87.5 gets you a merit award. The rest of it is ego, and we're not in the ego business. So that's how they will do it. They are not judging anything. They are evaluating against a matrix and the points to ponder. And using that process, evaluators are liable to be all over the layout, all over your train room. So you need to be pretty flexible to be able to move to an evaluator who needs your time and attention at any particular point. Please note, at this stage of the game, we have not asked you to write a single thing. The evaluators bring the evaluation sheets. For SOQs, the team will normally bring SOQ forms already filled out with your name and address and all that good stuff on the top. And the reason they do that is because if I rely on your handwriting to figure out, what we're doing, I'll probably go nuts. So it's easier to just type it up and bring them instead. This is the dreaded matrix. Please note, this is for construction. There are 5 of them. I'm sorry, 4 of them. Scratch built is not of image. You're over the top, we're looking at the complexity of the model. And down the side, we are looking at the quality of the workmanship. And that's what we're looking at in that particular category. Here are the numeric values that are assigned. So for a very complex or difficult model that is done with with exceptional skill and craftsmanship, get 40 points. Generally speaking, most of the stuff we're working with starts out with a general grade in this area, in this between somewhat complex and moderately complex, and very good and outstanding. If we're not in this category, in this area, we're going to have a hard time getting to 87.5 points overall. But unlike contests, we're going to figure out where somewhere in here, and we're going to rotate around in this area, as opposed to starting down here and moving in that direction. So that's the matrix, and it's up to you as a modeler to take a look at this before you start and figure out where you're going. And these are the points to ponder, and they're written down in the judging guidelines on the website. One of these days, we're going to change it to assessment or evaluation guidelines, but still says different. Cut and fit for construction is big time, and the quality and skill of the workmanship. So these are all the rest of them. Somewhere in the bottom of this, it says something like the dreaded glue marks. That's when all else fails, write up glue marks, and that explains everything. And interestingly enough, if you're building a building that's sort of a picture match, if it's an old building, there will be open joints. Just make sure they reflect the open joints of the whole building as opposed to poor construction. This is what would be considered a very simple structure. I mean, there's not much to this, guys. Not much at all. This one is moderate. Doesn't have much going for it. 4 walls, couple of doors, couple of windows. This is more complex, more walls, more doors, but at the same time, it runs the risk of problems like, if you can see this joint right here, you can see the edge of the roofing. Things, you got to be careful that you can go more complex, but your quality of work's got to stay with it. And then you have a model like this, which is really pretty complex. I like this ladder effect in the window. That's a well-done model. In order for this team thing to work and implement no paperwork, you got to be there. We've already talked that. You got to take the time to ask questions and find out what the evaluators are looking at. Generally speaking, we resolve some of the paperwork by not having to write up a bunch of comments because you're standing there talking to us, and you get to ask questions about what the evaluators are looking at. And you learn. My experience with this is the evaluators learn a hell of a lot more about modeling by talking to the modeler than they would just by simply trying to read and figure things out. And I think the modeler should likewise learn a hell of a lot. There is a downside to earning an AP certificate, and that is once you've earned the certificate, you're eligible to become part of the evaluation team. And in 4D, you'll probably get called on. And it really is a two-way learning experience. If an evaluator walks away from an evaluation session without learning something new, something's terribly wrong. If the modeler finishes an evaluation session without learning something, something's very, very, very wrong. Okay, the statement of qualifications, pretty straightforward. If the work completed warrants a certificate, as I said, it will probably be already filled out, and you will be asked to sign it. That should be pretty easy. Once the team leaves, the stuff comes to the region AP manager. He'll generate the merit awards that are earned and necessary to go to national. He'll put the whole pile together and mail it off to national and mail the individual merit awards back to the modeler. The AP chair, at least this AP chair, does not desire to have piles and piles and piles of paper come into his house. I have enough trouble getting to the dump or the recycle place every couple of weeks. I don't need to add to the challenge of doing it. The evaluation team will only take with them that which is absolutely necessary to satisfy the requirements at national, or if the AP chair has specifically asked for it. If you have a question about what paperwork might be required, ask before you start filling out paper. I've gone to guys that have had notebooks all filled out and everything was neat and pretty, and unfortunately, the forms they were using were the last edition. They don't change often, but when they do, you don't want to be using the last edition of the form. If you are still concerned that there's too much paper, we need to take a hard look at that. If you really think that signing an SOQ is excessive paperwork, we need to sort of reset your mind. Um, if you think we're doing too much paperwork, I hate to think what you do at tax time. You must just either you hire an accountant to do it for you, or you wind up throwing forms and wads of paper against the wall. Signing your name, although I got to tell you, in many cases, getting a guy to sign in the right place is a little difficult, but we do get him to sign it. And a word of advice for those of you who are watching or are not currently involved in AP, it's a good time to get involved because I'm getting old and crotchety, and I may figure out how to make this harder. Here's some examples of work. These all came from a National Train Show contest. This is identified as a moderately complex because it's got an interior detail on it. Of note, this barrel, these boxes, this car do not count as detail on the model. It's the building and the detail on the building. This is this structure is thoroughly detailed on the upper level with all of switch control levers. This is a very complex model. This model, I don't know what to tell you about this one. This one, the guy who did this must have spent a year doing it. This is a pretty straightforward little car. It's a maintenance away car. But it's well done. It's a nice model. This flat car, the thing here is the donkey engine, and this is load. This is not part of the car, so it doesn't get evaluated as part of the car. Whereas this water car, that water tank is a part of the car, and it gets evaluated as part of it. Nice, very simple double door. Nice. Some people will go to extremes. Of course, this is a contest model, but this is one where you walk up to it, you take one look and say, okay, that's a merit award. Now, why are we doing evaluation? Because it is just so obvious that the complexity and the quality of this thing. Okay, here's where we started out. Did you get it? And guys, you do need the matrix. Play the game.
Okay, are you other questions of Jack?
Yes.
Yeah, Jack, it's Max. Leaving that slide up, the one you have right now,
Yeah.
there's actually a seventh judged on the spot for prototype. I know it's unusual, but it is there, which means 7 out of the 11 are actually neat on the spot. So question, given the circumstances of the last year and a half and ongoing,
Max,
how are you going to do it? Yeah.
Okay, on these, the modeler himself does not have to do any prior paper, okay? Because we can answer all of the questions for these, with the exception of the diagrams. We do all those by talking. For prototype, you have to have the pictures, the pre and post, and the rest of that stuff.
No,
So-
I know all too well in the prototype case, but how have you been actually doing this for the last 18 months?
How we've been doing this? Actually, we've been doing this using Zoom and or using distance evaluation procedures with the CD and thumb drives, and then distributing that amongst evaluators.
It seems all too probable that will need to continue for a while. So
Yeah, it probably will, and it certainly will for our friends in Alaska And people who do not have um, ready access to the system. What I want to say, the amount of paper will change. When we're doing distant evaluation, we have a different questionnaire that reflects what the questions are, what we would ask if we were standing there right beside the modeler. So it's slightly different, but yeah, we have a way to make it go.
Jack,
Yes,
Chuck Ricketts, I have a question. I think you've read the articles I've been doing that have been posted in the Grab Iron about my construction of Fantasy Island layout. And also I had the article in the September of 2020 Gazette on my layout, the former layout, the SSNS. I'm wondering if those articles, and years ago on the ON30 annual, I had an article on the movement of the refrigerator car that Chris was sending around touring country. I'm wondering if those articles would qualify or go towards an author AP.
Yep. Yeah, the answer to that one is absolutely. Read Chuck, if you look at the author SOQ, it's pretty straightforward as what goes for what. The switch list stuff is good. The Grab Iron stuff, it gets a little bit antsy. Here's sort of an answer to the question. Anything that is done electronically needs to have a editor overview for it to be counted as, valid, other than minutes of a meeting or, something in a club newsletter. So that's the real criteria there.
Well,
The
Greg
answer,
Wright was the editor for my articles on the layout building, and Roger Knowlton was the editor for my Gazette article. So I'm wondering, and of course, Bob Brown then edited further.
yeah, sure. But if you've got copies of the work, that's fine. Let's put it together and send me what you got, and let's look at it.
Okay, so you want me to send you the Word copies of the articles?
If you've got them,
Okay, I got them all. I still
yeah,
have
if you
them.
got them, send them to me.
Chuck, were these published in the journals?
Pardon?
Were these published in the journals, your articles?
They were published in the Grab Iron, and I don't know where else they were.
Oh, okay.
The other article on my previous layout, the SSNS, the Sherwood, Shelton, and Sarazen, was published in the September 2020 Narrow Gauge and Shortline Gazette.
Okay, then just a copy of that. I mean, the editorial process obviously was done. It's public.
Max, I got it. You send me this stuff, Chuck, and I'll work through it and let you know where we are and what you need to do.
Okay, what about the magazine article? Do you need the magazine?
No. Just tell me which one, what edition of the magazine is all I need to know.
Okay, all right.
Jack, am I right?
You could put them a slightly more formal reference, magazine, date, edition, page numbers. That's a little bit more, but that's the same stuff.
Okay,
Jack,
anyway, with the ON30 article. All right,
Jack, am I
it'll take a
Am I
while to
correct
do
that-
that.
when the article's published in a division newsletter, you get like one point per page, regional newsletter, 2 points per page, a national publication, 3 points per page. And half the points you get have to be beyond the division. In other words, you can get 20 points at the division level, but the remaining 20 have to be either at the regional or at a national level. I believe that's
Now you understand why I asked Chuck to send me what he's got. Let me wade through it and I'll,
But if you've got
an answer,
national
that's the easiest
publications,
way.
you can get max points on those.
yeah, let me sort through it. We'll figure out what we got.
Yeah, so far
Oh, Jack.
there are 11 articles, so I'm working on the 12th right now.
Okay, but just send me what you got.
Okay, all right.
Oh, Jack.
Yes.
Yeah, this is Robert Martin. You got my stuff and all that bit, and you said that you didn't get back to me of how many more points I need to do, because I had a couple of published magazines that are no more, the model railroading, because the guy passed away, and I did divisions, the grab iron, and that's before it was separated from now the 5th division. So there was like more than 1,000 people that members in that time. That was in the 80s and 90s when I sent those. And you said I needed to do some more, and I'm hoping to work on that. I'm trying to get into. I see you do your tool time. I'm trying to read and follow the Nationals way of writing. Is it difficult, or what is your secret of getting your stuff published into the NMRA magazine?
Okay, I'm going to take this in two questions. First, I sent you back a response to your original input.
Yeah.
As I remember, so you don't have to work on how to get published in the national magazine. It's real simple. Write something.
Okay.
And I'm not being facetious. Cynthia will sort through stuff. And if it's something she can use, she will let you know. If it's not, she will let you know. If the quality of the work is not acceptable, she'll let you know that too. But the answer to the question is, you can't get published if you don't write.
Yeah, I know. I've been writing to other articles and to other model railroad museums because they want my electronic guru-ness. I don't understand why. But in basically is, how do you send it to them? You just send it by email, or do you have to condense a file, or what?
Okay, I send, everything I send goes in Word format. If I send pictures, I send them in camera raw. You can either put it in Dropbox to Cynthia. You can put it on a thumb drive and mail it to her. That works depending on, if all you're sending is a Word document, you can email it to her. It's when you start adding graphics and pictures that they suddenly, the files just become too large to send via normal email.
Okay, you say the work document
Word doc.
is one, and the camera.
My pictures in camera raw. Don't Photoshop them.
No.
You can crop them, but don't do anything else.
Jack,
I'll let them do that.
Bill,
Jack, yes. I would also alert people that the author category includes clinics.
the author
So-
category does include clinics. That's good.
Yes, and so providing clinics, whether they're provided electronically or provided in providing clinics even at the division level or regional level is another way, especially for people that, as one author once wrote, writing is easy. You stare at the keyboard till beads of blood break out on your forehead. So if you're not naturally a writer, but you're a really good explainer and teacher, clinics can account for all of the points for author.
Are handouts still required?
Yes.
Yeah, so you do send in a copy of your PowerPoint.
Yes. Hey, did Jeff ask that question?
Yeah.
Okay, Jeff, the answer to that question is you can take copies of a magazine article. You can take your PowerPoint and turn it into notes pages. any number of ways that you can have a handout for your clinic, but a handout is required.
The only
Yeah, I
reason I
did it.
ask is I've noticed a lot of clinics that I went to in the past couple of years were remarkably handout free.
And they turn out to be remarkably handout free because they were probably given electronically.
Quite possibly.
And if you wanted a handout, if you had asked the clinician, he would have been more than happy to drop one to you. Most of us don't have websites to post that garbage on, but if you ask for one, you can have it.
Okay, we've got a couple of questions from the chat here.
ahead.
Looks like somebody is, they say they know Bob's not in favor of cardstock on the models, but can they be used? Somebody gave a yes answer, but Jack, for your response?
The answer is absolutely, it can be used. There's no problem with that.
Okay. Second question is, they'd like you to explain the conformity matrix a little more.
Okay, conformity. All right, the conformity, and Bob actually put it very, very well. Does the model conform to prototype practices? If you're building a photo match, for example, you've got a boxcar, 40-foot boxcar that you're trying to replicate, then for conformity purposes, you need to replicate the boxcar or come as close as possible. If you're building a structure and you're trying to photo match it, then the exterior of the structure has to look like the picture. If you are doing a freelance structure, make sure that you use prototype building practices for the structure, and that it looks like a building that could, in fact, have been built. Rarely is somebody going to lose a merit award based on conformity. Remember, we're not talking contest, we're talking AP.
Okay, that seems to be it for now. I'll turn it back to the floor for any other questions.
Jack, if you would be so kind, could you address what's going on with the distance evaluation and how we need to tread carefully, particularly at the division level on distance evaluation?
Yeah, I'll be happy to do that. About, I don't know, Steve Voss is there. About 3-4 years ago, we recognized that Alaska, the Northwest Territories are the one model up there, and areas in British Columbia, Saskatchewan, and Alberta were just too damn distant, too far away from groups of modelers to be able to actively participate in AP. But AP is one of the primary benefits of NMRA membership. So we had to figure out, how do we get these guys to be able to play with us? And so we worked on that for a while and came up with a least common denominator answer. And the least common denominator was based on, at that time, what kind of internet service was available in the remote areas. And in Alaska at that time, and still to today, we still got guys doing dial-up. And if you think you can do an AP evaluation with pictures over dial-up, you have forgotten what dial-up is all about. So what we came up with was, okay, we'll do this by taking digital pictures of the model being evaluated, and take them all 4 sides, top, bottom, whatever was appropriate. And we would have a separate questionnaire that would go to the modeler so that the modeler could answer the questions that we thought we might have or would have as we were trying to evaluate this thing. We took that, and with it went to national, and I talked to Frank Koch about it for quite a while. And he did not object to it, but his caveat was, this needs to be maintained under close control so that we do not hazard quality requirements of the AP program. And so we agreed to do that. And we have been proofing it for an extended period of time. Along came COVID, and the need for this kind of a process expanded across all of the NMRA and no longer had to do with people who were remotely isolated. It was people who were physically isolated. And so it's been the process in different forms and formats has been used within the NMRA with some success, but it is all still under the direct control of national. We have done some Zoom evaluations where that's possible, and they have turned out to be successful, but we are still using the original special questionnaire and now thumb drives as opposed to CDs to get where we're going. And I know some guys tell me, well, wait a minute, I can just send you this stuff, and that's fine. Yes, you can. But unfortunately, we're using least common denominator procedures. And so our implementation here in PNR is really straightforward. We have a group of individuals who have been identified and who have worked in the remote evaluation process. And they are the guys who are doing the remote evaluation at this time. We get an input from an individual, copies are made of the material, sent to the evaluators. They do their review process, send their comments back. I collect them. I make note of them. I send them I either issue the merit award, or if I have a question about it, I will send it to Frank Koch for his overview and determination. Likewise for the SOQ, if there's any question. Now, there are some SOQs, some certificates that can be earned by virtue of video effort. You can do scenery and electrical with a video or a Zoom meeting. And quite frankly, Russ, we've had some, as we've done layout tours here in the 4th Division, I've sat in on those and watched, as I did with Jules today, and said, hey, it looks to me like you've earned the following certificates. Well, what are you doing about that? And we've moved forward that way. But the bottom line is the determination, the actual evaluation process remains at the region level. What the division guys have got to do is sort out a request for distant evaluation to determine whether or not, first, the guy's got something to look at, and second, that the modeler is not going out evaluator shopping. That was one of the major concerns, was that a modeler from Division A wasn't happy with the results he was achieving at home, so we'd go somewhere else and find somebody else to do it for him. So we're maintaining the authority to complete the evaluation at the regional level and keeping the divisions involved. And we teach when somebody from the division level wants to learn more about it and become qualified as a distant evaluator, we invite them to participate and help. And Ross Ames, for example, worked with us on Max Aguilera in order. Does that answer your question for you, Jeff?
Yeah, thank you.
I have a follow-up question to go with Robert Martin. Jack, would you clarify, please, accepted for publication and those kinds of ideas so that a publisher can't hold an author hostage?
Accepted for publication means if you submitted something to a publisher, magazine, whatever it might be, and they send you back a piece of paper that says, we've got it, we'll publish it in the future. As far as author is concerned, that's published.
Thank you.
Okay, we have another question from the chat room. Are the SOQs listed on the NMRA website?
Everything you ever needed to know and more is on the NMRA website. Copies are there. Easy to read, not hard. Larry, are they there?
Yeah, yes and no. They're not easy to find. It
Oh,
needs
come
some work.
now. Oh, well, yeah, but that's because it's not written in Canadian.
Yeah, no, we spell things right. You guys don't. Anyway, no, I have a question actually for real. I'm working on a scratch built caboose at the moment out of styrene, basically. So is there anything wrong with me taking that, say, to the PNR convention in Eugene to have evaluated versus having Mike Chandler do it in the 7th Division?
Is there any reason why you don't want Mike to evaluate it?
No, just if it happens to be ready the week before.
Well, if it happens to be ready, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
All right.
Jacob?
Yeah, I still have a couple of questions about the AP program, and I'm looking into it because I am volunteering lightly for my division, but I think that would still count as an associate.
Don't worry about it.
volunteer.
You're gonna get volunteer points for what you're doing.
Yeah, but if you wouldn't mind, I'd love to have a Zoom meeting with you or something sometime to discuss it, because I also think I'm getting published in the September issue of the NMRA magazine, or it's October. I'm not 100% sure, but
Okay. What? No, I'm not gonna have a separate Zoom meeting for you, because that way, all the rest of the guys that are here don't get the benefit of what your experience is. Okay, so let me tell you that if Cynthia publishes you in the NMRA magazine, you get three points per page credit toward author at a national level item, okay? If you do something for Grab Iron, you get, I don't recall right, I gave up off the top of my head, but it's a couple of points, 1 or 2 points a page for the Grab Iron work, okay?
yeah.
Okay. What else? All right, come on, answer the rest of your questions. We want all 74 people here to get the benefit of that.
Well, I'm not 100% sure about all of the forms that would be required in the, well, and also the thing I wrote, it's not a full page. It's
You get partial credit.
okay. And so I'm assuming that I'd be able to find at least some of the forms on the NMRA website. Where would I
You'll find all of the forms on the NMRA website. You'll find a complete and a detailed listing of everything about the program. Go to the website, go to education, go to achievement program.
Yeah, I've looked over it quite a lot. But mainly I can't, the one thing I can't figure out is I haven't been able to find any of the forms.
Okay, go to achievement program and go to, I think, certificates.
Jack, the other thing you may say is not only you get credit for your writing, but you also get credit for photographs and other diagrams. that go along
You
with
get
your
credit
article.
for all the good stuff.
So
But
yeah,
you're
get
also
more-
earning volunteer points while you're doing all this stuff, Jacob. Hey, if,
Oh, I found the SOQ form.
yeah, that's what you're looking for, right?
Okay, yeah, I think so. For the
Yeah,
It'd be
that's
the
the
volunteering
explanation.
author.
Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
If you want to see the matrices, you have to go to forms. Everything else should be under each category individually.
You gotta go to, there's a thing called judging guidelines and forms, and it's there.
I thought I looked on every link of this website already, but apparently not.
This is not the best website in the Western world.
Another question from the chat. Are there points for design?
No.
I don't see anything else at the moment, so I'll turn it back over to the board.
I think we got a hand up from Robert Martin.
You do, Robert. I'll be right back with you, Jacob. Robert?
Yeah, the answer, Jacobs, and they do have a printout. You can try to get a hold of Cynthia and all them of the writing syllabus, what they're looking for, and all that bit. And they have it on a website on the NMRA.
That's on the NMRA website.
Yeah. My second question to you is that I have buildings on a club layout. You know which one? It's the Swamp Creek and Western. And I sent my stuff to my mentor, Glenn Farley. I sent everything to him and all that bit. And what I wrote was highlights, you know, because I live in Olympia. And he's up there.
Okay.
And we're trying to get together. Now, can he evaluate it, or do we have to have another person there too to evaluate the buildings on the club?
Okay, we need 2 evaluators to look at your stuff, and if I know what we're looking at, we can work to get a 2-man team there. You can either come or not come. If you don't come, then you know we're going to need some more help on what we're looking at, and which means you get to write a hell of a lot more. But if you can get up there while we're looking, we can go through that.
Oh yeah, because we finally got word to open up our club, and we're trying to get all the gremlins out of it and all that bit. And I really like to be up there, and I like to set up a date. And I got to work with Glenn with that, and with the other evaluators.
Let me know what's good for you. Glenn does not personally have to be there. It'd be nice if he was, but he does not. If you're going to be there, he doesn't have to be. And we'll get an evaluation team set up to visit.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay, we've got another
Robert
Stanford. You've got your hand up. Go ahead.
Jack, question. I was in the authors last week, actually looking at it, trying to figure out what I could apply for. Now, what's total points? I never saw anywhere on any of the paperwork there that said the total points that you had to accumulate.
42.
42?
Yep.
Okay, and then now listening to what Dee said earlier, I guess this
21 local, a maximum of 21 for local stuff.
Okay, and then the way I read it, the 2 clinics I did for National Convention, I got 6 points each for them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Got handouts for them?
No, it was.
Yes, you do.
I do?
Yeah. For God's sake, Stafford, make handouts for them.
Oh, okay. You
should have handouts for them.
Okay. Okay. I never.
Notes page on PowerPoint.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I actually.
Yeah, the notes page on PowerPoint works beautifully.
Oh, yeah, I got all that. Okay.
Yeah, I thought so.
Oh, all right.
Some guys just
make it difficult. I know.
That it?
Yeah, well, and then, okay, then the articles I've had published by the Lehigh Valley chapter, NMRA HS, I think they're 1 point. And I got some stuff's going to come up in the Lackawanna Historical Society rouseabout. So, yeah, oh, YouTube channels, do they count or not?
What, a YouTube channel?
Yeah.
Not unless you have a storyboard and all the rest of the crap that goes with them. If you just sit there and you turn on your video camera and talk to it for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, that does not count.
No, I've been doing the series on building Atlantic hosiery step by step. I'm working on editing video number 4 right now. It's got an hour.
Send me the link to it and let me look at it.
Okay, thanks.
Anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, I do. Jack, I got a question. We got a member that came up from California, done some beautiful work for structures and so forth on club layout down in the Bay Area. They've had YouTube videos of their club and with the mention of this particular modeler who has done some fabulous work. Can that be judged off of YouTube by having the modeler with me and explain things?
Clyde, that one may be a little bit difficult, but what have we got in the way of evaluators down in the area where the models are?
That I have no idea. I have no idea.
Is that Jack Burgess and company in that area?
It's the Baz Boys who's done this. The name of the modeler is Robert Gray.
Okay,
but I don't know who their evaluators are down in that area.
Okay, before we do anything else, let's do some investigation to see if there are some guys in the area who can do on-site evaluation of the models.
Okay,
And if that doesn't work out, then we'll go to a distant evaluation process for them. The difficulty that we'll face is that with the models in place on a layout, it makes it much more difficult to get 360 photos of them and stuff like that. But we can work it. We can work.
Where did he come from in down south in California?
oh, in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a hard one not to figure out why they didn't get them
Okay,
assessed
let's
down there.
Burgess and Seth and those guys down there. We can
Yeah, that's Burgess.
probably figure something out pretty
right.
quick.
And he just talked to me just not too long ago about wanting to get some things evaluated
Okay.
and judged and get into the AP program. He's never done it before, but his models definitely are right there as far as being AP worthy.
Okay.
So,
Do a little bit more homework for me and let me know and we'll work on getting something set up for them. All right. Okay.
I would assume also that you could do a telephone video conferencing with them down there, so you could answer any questions they have. They could basically put the camera on your model, say, you know, what is that? And you can see it and give them an explanation. So even though you're not there, you could see what they're doing.
He can be on Zoom or whatever, talking to them while they're doing the evaluation. However that works, but the bottom line is it would be better, obviously, if we can get some local guys, local evaluators doing the actual evaluation.
Absolutely.
and then would they send up the paperwork up to the PNR? Because he's in the PNR now.
Yeah, they can send the evaluation stuff up here and I'll complete whatever's necessary.
Okay.
For any of you who thought this was hard, it's only as hard as you want to make it.
Jack, thank you. As you mentioned early on in your comments, it's all about educational opportunities and opportunities to improve our modeling skills. And probably the single best avenue we've got for that in NMRA is the achievement program. So thank you for showing us how we can make this a whole lot more simpler than it has been in some cases, and certainly needs to be simplified. So thank you for showing us how to do that.